all hate to this.
That was brutal. We are live, by the way, and we're talking about last week's card where, the Sherman fight cancellation, literally, 2 minutes into the card? Like, how did John Anik know?
I think it was 5:01, and they literally came on air with that, basically.
They
said their welcomes, and then, yep.
So how long did they know before they told us? Who knows?
So here's what's interesting. In looking at the card last week, right, my thought was, man, none of these pay-ups are worth paying up for initially, right? And then when that replacement fight came in, I was like, this one is, right? I forget that guy's name, but like, this dude puts up points, right? Sherman's opponent.
Carl Williams, yeah.
Big Carl. So I went 75% Carl Williams. I just favored him over every other favorite, which in hindsight was absolutely the right move. None of the other 9K plus guys put up a good score at all. So I was like, fuck yeah, man. I made the right call, but got burned for it.
Yep. Man, and I would say it just chalk it up to unfortunate events, but like you said, this happens now 2 weeks in a row, and it's just happening a bit more frequently than, believe me, I'm not for late swap. This is happening enough to where there's got to be something, maybe, I don't know.
Here's what the policy should be. If a fight is canceled, a 30-minute window opens up to swap that fight out for one other one. And it can't be whatever fight is scheduled for that time. So as long as they did some like consistent procedure, if a fight is canceled, a 30-minute window will open up for swaps. It won't be any fighters that are fighting.
That would be fine. You still take all the sim guys out of it. They can't simulate the entire event fight after fight.
Yeah. And I get why people didn't want late swap, because if late swap exists, you have to be a madman late swapping.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody wants to do that. I get it, right? Like the pros are late swapping like crazy, and fuck that, right? They're putting in underdogs, and they're just going nuts.
You can't even enjoy the card.
Well, no. Well, that's the whole thing. I do like watching the card. I want to enjoy the card. And I can do the late swapping thing too, by the way. Me and my buddy who I like, my local friend who I like will go through some of the fights with over here, like crush those 2 weeks of late swap because of that reason. Like you'd find that one, switch in. It was very workable, but I'd rather not be doing that. But in these scenarios where a fight's canceled, put a 30-minute window where any fights that aren't happening within that 30-minute window are swappable. Just like allow it, and it's like an automated thing. As soon as we find out, the 30-minute window has opened up. So DraftKings, if you're watching, that is your only solution for this.
Because the alternative was them showing all the ownerships, and the way they did it was completely fucked. So
they just screwed it all up. Like late swap could have worked better than it worked, but DraftKings screwed it all up.
They found every way to screw it up.
Players paid for it.
Yeah.
And I just, I'm mass multi-entering, and it's not fun when you go 70% or 75% on a fighter, and it's always the 70%er. Why is it always the guy I have 70%? Every time it's happened, it's somebody I'm loaded up on.
Yep. Yeah, Alex Perez was like my favorite underdog the week before. I had 95% Carl Williams last week. So like my entire night is dead before these fights even get started. It's just not even fun anymore.
This has happened to two Chase Sherman. The first one was Romanov
or
and
something
Sherman.
Like that, right?
This has happened to Sherman twice.
Yeah.
Who's canceling? Is it the opponent?
It's Sherman, I thought. Sherman both times. The first time he had a stomach ache, and I don't know why he pulled out this last time, but
didn't want to get an ass.
I'm going to show all these haters on Twitter, all these little DFS haters.
Right.
I'll show them.
Fuck them. Yeah. Sherman saw like as soon as DraftKings kicked in and Sherman saw his ownership was sub 1%, he was like, you know what? Fuck this, dude. No one even is gambling that I have a chance here. I got to get out. That's what happened. He saw the ownership.
Yep. Right.
All right. Well,
he had the radio. He had it ready to go. Yep.
Imagine being him, seeing your original opponent, like, yeah, I can beat this guy. Then that dude drops out, and you're like, Carl, you're like, oh, I can't stop any takedowns. I'm just gonna wait. It's like being at a job you don't like, but then you're too scared to turn in your 2 weeks. You just kind of never show up again. That's Chase Sherman.
They call that silent quitting.
Yeah, there you go. That's what Chase Sherman did. It was pretty silent before 5 p.m. last week.
Man. How did you know 1 minute into the card? I was like, oh, we're done.
1 minute.
Now, one saving grace last week. I crushed my bets.
Mm-hmm.
I got screwed on my underdogs again, thanks to I didn't even watch it, but I heard Watterson was a close fight, possibly could have won it. I had her before that. It was freaking Andrea Lee. I had Usman before that. I had the Gabriel Santos guy who I thought clearly beat Leroy Murphy. So I had 4 underdogs in a row that these judges are killing up me on. So I have that plus these canceled fights. Man, it's been a rough stretch.
Now, right before the fight started, I had a bunch of bets, but I put a bet in, of course, on Garcia. I did bet Watterson, and I don't agree with the decision, but it wasn't egregiously horrible. It wasn't like the Lee decision, which I thought was egregious. But, I had a bet on Watterson, whatevs. I bet Garcia. That was a nice underdog. And, of course, my kill shot streak, if we count KGB Lee as a win, is up to 5-0.
Oh, wow. I know I'm not doing good at all on the kill shots lately.
5-0 on kill shots.
I needed my Rob Font, which I got finally.
That was a nice one.
Oof.
I think there's some underdogs that are live on this week's card. So let's jump right into this one, guys, and take a look at the first fight on the card. We got Jocelyn Edwards, the underdog, against Lucy Pudilova. Puds, as we affectionately call her, is -137 as the favorite here, with Edwards coming back at +117. This fight is probably going the distance. -275 to go the distance. And Big Marley, let's talk Styles. Styles makes fights. That's what I hear. Give me a stylistic breakdown here.
I'd say they're both mainly strikers for sure. I'd say Edwards is probably the higher volume, more well-rounded striker, but Pudilova's got a solid jab, and I think she's the more well-rounded fighter. She should be looking to get the fight to the ground, though, in my opinion. I think she does have some wrestling chops, and Edwards just doesn't have anything to offer off her back. So I thought Pudilova looked really good in her return to the UFC in the last fight. She had some mean elbows to get a ground and pound finish, and I think she can do that same thing in this fight. She controlled the fight for over 5 minutes. And I think she could keep the fight close on the feet if she wanted to, which could be the worry, but she's not going to score enough to be on the optimal lineup. If she wins a striking match here, she could put up around 10x or so. But if she goes to the ground, I think she could win a decision and score over 100 points here. So I like Pudilova to get the win. I like her on DraftKings. I think she will be lower owned, or not too highly owned anyways. But then on the other side, if you do like Edwards, I mean, she is just a volume machine. She's going to put up enough volume to score over 10x if she does get the win here. If Pudilova wants to stand, I think Edwards is a very live underdog. I just probably won't get too much ownership there. It'd be like a 10% play for me, and I might be overweight on Pudilova.
I like it. Now, Monk, numbers-wise, ladies, I know we like those. I know we like these fights are under. Give me the metrics on this thing, because I know you love these. The 135ers, female fighters are in the nuts more often than they're used.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it's the flyweights that I'm really looking at, but bantamweight's not too bad either. They're being owned at just over 39%, and they make optimal at about 45% of the time. Compare that to flyweights; it's about 10% lower. But it's better than like men's welterweight. It's better than men's flyweight. So it's better than a few of them out there. Not the best women's division, but it's not too bad, especially with the competitors. God, I got some buzzing in my right ear. These headphones are killing me. Especially with these competitors that we have today. I know Lucy Pudilova is 1-4 in her past 5 UFC fights, but she took a break right before the Wu Yanan fight, went to a different, I believe it was Octagon. I believe is where she was fighting over in, I think, Poland. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but her, what I'm calling now her exact record, meaning this is a 3-round women's bantamweight fight. In 3-round women's bantamweight fights in the UFC, Lucy Pudilova is 3-2, while Josie Edwards is 1-2. Edwards also allows over 4 points a minute inside the distance, and Pudilova is averaging 3 points a minute inside the distance. Scoring wise, I mean, Edwards is allowing 4 points, and Edwards really doesn't score too well in these bantamweight fights. 76 is what she put up in her win. Meanwhile, Pudilova is over at 90 points per win. That is over those 3 bantamweight wins. I actually don't mind a little play on Pudilova here. I think she's going to be way under owned, like Marley said, and also Edwards has a 47% takedown defense in these 3-round women's bantamweight fights. I cannot back Edwards probably here, and I'll probably be over the field on Pudilova. Her path to victory is definitely her ground game, and if she can get Edwards down a controller, I think she has a decent chance of scoring pretty well here for $8,600 and being very underowned.
Yeah, Edwards, right? Weakness has been off her back for the most part. 63% takedown defense. Puds hasn't been exactly a prolific grappler, but she did it in her last fight.
Yeah, and overall, it's not too bad. She has some decent control time. 2 of those 3 wins, she put up over 100 points, and if she does that here, I mean, that's pretty close to optimal. She also has a very high floor in those 2 losses. Her floor is like 54 points, so I like it for GPPs and I like it for cash as well.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Salaries are really weird on this card. You're going to see as we go through this, like really weird. Like probably the weirdest I've ever seen it. I don't know what they were thinking. And you're going to see this. You see some of these fighters that are like minus 170, they're like 9,600. Like what? I don't know what's going on here. It's a really weird one. But let's move on. Second fight of the night. Aaron Phillips taking on Gaston Bolanos. Gaston is the favorite here at minus 190, with Phillips coming back at plus 165. The fight ends inside the distance is a reasonable minus 185. Big Marley. Aaron Phillips, man, he hasn't won in the UFC. It's going to turn around here.
Man, I don't know. We haven't seen him in 3 years. And before that, his last UFC stretch was like 2014, 2015, and he was getting out wrestled by strikers. Oh, man, I just don't know what to think on the Phillips side. It's really hard to cap this fight. Like, you would think that they want this Bolanos guy to win because you're just bringing in Phillips, who hasn't shown you anything yet. And this Bolanos guy, all of his wins are basically first-round knockouts. He has a second-round knockout as well, but he's never been past like 7 minutes in one of his wins. But Phillips is a solid striker too. That's why everyone's taking him down. So I think that this could just be a slugfest here, and either one of them could get knocked out. I definitely like the fight for that reason. And if Bolanos does have some wrestling chops, which I don't know that he does, I still need to do a little bit more film on this fight in general, but I didn't really see him want to wrestle much. He just wanted to bang from what I saw. But if he does have some wrestling chops, this is where you want to see it, especially at $9,200. He's going to need the early knockout, or he's going to need to look to wrestle. But he has a high ceiling if he does either one of those. Phillips, on the other hand, he's probably going to go completely overlooked because he's basically a fade at this point. And I'm not completely against using some Phillips here. I think he's live for the first-round knockout himself. So this is a fight I want to target, one of my favorite DraftKings fights on the card, maybe. But I still want to look into it more. I will take Bolanos right now, but maybe I end up changing that pick before the fight start.
Now, I do not think Phillips is going to have much ownership at all. But when you look at his losses, they weren't like against the complete garbage.
Sam Cecilia was not.
But I mean, that's like 2014 Sam. 2014 Sam Cecilia might have been good.
Yeah.
That might have been a good version. I don't know. But like, he's losing. He's got decent, like, I saw names in there that look better now. Losing to Chris Gutierrez, okay, fine. Jack Shore is good. Like, his losses weren't against complete scrubs. And again, Sam Cecilia 2014 might have been good. I'm not sure. I don't remember that far back. Like,
I don't think Sam Cecilia was ever very good.
I mean, I don't know. Monk, what do you think of this one?
I like this one a lot. I think it probably a lot of variance, high chaos. Like Marley said, I think either of these guys could get knocked out. I'm going to pick Bolaños because his name is ridiculously awesome. Gaston Bolaños. I mean, how do you not roster that kind of guy? But Aaron Phillips, though, in his 2 fights at bantamweight, 3-round fights. I know he has 3 UFC fights, but only 2 at bantamweight. He's allowing 5.73 points a minute and 5.95 points per minute inside the distance while scoring just half a point himself. So he's out here getting absolutely dominated by the likes of Jack Shore and whoever else you mentioned there before. I suppose I could look someone named Matt Hobar as well. He lost to someone named Matt Hobar, who is not as prolific as Sam Cecilia, I would imagine. But I'm going to favor Bolaños here. The strength of schedule is super poor for both guys. Phillips actually has a bit better of a strength of schedule, but they are both extremely subpar. We've got a southpaw orthodox matchup as well. And then Phillips, the last thing I'll say of note, 47% takedown defense, has spent 82% of his total fight time in those 2 bantamweight fights fighting inside the distance. He has controlled less than half of 1% of all of that control time. So safe to say Phillips not too good off of his back. So we don't know what Bolaños is going to bring. But I think one of these guys gets knocked out. I think this is a big question mark. And for that reason, I'll be rostering both sides.
Yeah, just to be clear here, Gaston, the bad guy from Beauty and the Beast, and now this.
Exactly. What are you supposed to do with him?
This guy is 9,200 on DraftKings. What? Does he go for takedowns, Marley? What is happening here? He a grappler?
And he's fighting
first round knockout.
Aaron Phillips.
Alex is also
like the guy's not a grappler. 9,200. Marley, when he freezes up, it gets all crazy on me. Like I'm like looking at him, like, is he frozen? Is he there? Just like freezing.
I think he's live.
Am I back right now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, he's back. He's back, baby.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I don't think I haven't seen him look to really wrestle. I remember him being on top of somebody, throwing some punches, and this was like 2 days ago, 1 day ago, and I'm already forgetting it. So I got to go back and figure out how the heck he got there. But for what I've seen, it's just a first round knockout guy, and if he can go out there and get a first round knockout, he's going to score enough to pay off 9,200.
Crazy expensive on DraftKings here at 9,200. I don't know about all this. I don't like so the inside the distance prop here just doesn't tell me gonna score enough. It doesn't tell me gonna score enough to justify. He needs the first round finish. I don't know if he can get it. I'm concerned about it. Does not stand out to me as a play I want to play on DraftKings, keeping it real. But who knows? I don't. I think these guys are both kind of shitty. So I don't know. Yeah. But there's nothing about anything that either guy has done that's like if they don't get a first round knockout, they're going to score well. I don't see.
And another thing I do like about Bolaños at 9,200 is that the 9K range sucks this week.
Yeah,
so he is one of the higher ceiling
trash. Ones. Yeah, it's bad.
The whole thing is really weird. It's an unusual week where
when your king of the salaries is some dude who hasn't fought in 3 years. He's almost 40 years old. Like Jesus Christ.
It's bananas. That one is the most insane salary I've ever seen on I don't know who is you know what happened? The normal salaries guy at DraftKings.
He must be out sick.
He was home for Easter.
Oh.
He took the week.
Maybe the guy who did it is like had beef with Ed Herman. He's like, fuck this guy. He's gonna be the cheapest.
They brought in the intern to do the work. Here's another one. You're going to see some crazy ass DraftKings.
Late swapped the intern. That's what happened.
The DraftKings pricing is just so nuts. So many underdogs are going to win this week. But next up, we've got Bruno Emmanuel Brasil taking on Bruna Emmanuel Brasil taking on Denise Gomez. With Bruna coming in as a minus 165 favorite. The comeback on Gomes is plus 145. Fight ends inside the distance, plus 145. So this one is shaping up, potentially leaning to be a decision fight. Although, I think when Big Marley gives us a little bit of stylistic here, there may be some possibilities here for some submissions, I think. But what do you think, Big Marl?
Well, I don't think we're going to see a submission here, but I do think this could be a sneaky fight. Bruna is coming off a win on the Contender Series. She looks like a decent striker at range. I mean, I was mostly impressed with her front kicks. Like, she's good at keeping her fighter at bay, I guess. But if Gomez can get on the inside, she's an aggressive striker. She's got power. She's durable. I think Gomez can turn this into a dirty fight and win that on the feet. She hasn't really looked to wrestle much, but I think she could have wrestling success here as well because the girl that Bruna fought on the Contender Series had like 3 takedowns, and I thought she was bad. I mean, I didn't think she was good at all. So I also think that Bruna looking good in that fight isn't that impressive to me. So I think the line is too wide on this one. I kind of like Gomes, and in both of Bruna's losses, they're like 2 of her first 2 or 3 fights. She was knocked out, and I think she could get knocked out again here. So I'm going to take Gomes to get an upset. Just push the pace, be aggressive early, whether it's on the feet or the ground. I think she could get a referee stoppage here. So I like Gomes. I don't think she'll get much ownership. I do think she'll have ownership because I think the line's off, and I think people are seeing that. But I really am not trying to pay $9,300 for Bruna. So I might just X her out of my player pool, to be honest with you. This is going to be Gomes or pass for me.
Yeah, take a look at this line movement. I was just really thinking that Bruna is much more of a grappler than the other one, than Gomes. And so, yeah, but obviously odds makers or bettors are putting their money here, or they are betting Gomes quite a bit. As you can see, this line movement has been pretty intense here. Monk, what do you say?
Well, I'm going to ride the wave of strawweight confusion for these women that have barely fought. After last week, everybody and their mom was on Amareem. I was begging people to think twice and play Sam Hughes. We all know how that turned out. I don't know how it's going to go this week. I just don't think Gomez is enough of... She's got one fight at the weight class, 3-round women's bantamweight. She also has the worst strength of schedule. Her last 5 strength of schedule is actually, am I reading this wrong? Never mind. That's Bruna Brazil, who has the worst strength of schedule. Denise Gomez is just above that. So neither one really performing well. It should be noted that Gomez has a 20% takedown defense in her last fight, gave up over 4 points a minute, and gave up over 4 points a minute inside the distance. Meanwhile, Bruna Brazil is just so fun to say. 5 points a minute overall, almost 5 points a minute at distance, and over 4.6 points a minute inside the distance. She put up 117 if you would have put points to her Dana White Contender Series fight. She looked good. I understand there's only one fight to go on, and none of this is really, gospel. I think I'm going to do what everybody was doing last week. I'm going to put my money on the debutante and pick Bruna Brazil here. I don't know how much I can get to her in DraftKings. You guys are totally right. 9,300 for minus 165. Like, what is happening right now? I don't know if I can really back that. So I'm going to probably have to go contrarian. And even though I like Brazil, I'm going to put Gomez in my lineup here. So pick is Brazil, but I like Gomez to be a little bit contrarian. And I'll probably be under the field in this fight, although that might be difficult. Everyone loves to fade these strawweight fights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning Brazil as well, just because at least she went for some takedowns. She's going against somebody with 44% takedown defense. I haven't seen Gomes do much grappling, so I don't know if she's able to. And I'm always going to lean a little bit with the grappler. But again, the salary's crazy. This is a nutty price for DraftKings. I don't get it. I actually don't get it. Like, what were they thinking?
Minus 165 is like an 8,500, 8,600 price range,
Sometimes you get that in 82. I mean,
yeah.
It's not... This is crazy. So this is going to be a weird card in general. Let's hope we can identify some pay-up options that we even want to get to here. Now, if you guys are watching, of course, let us know who you like for this fight. As we go through the fights, let us know which side you're on. We love it. And, of course, smash that like button. We appreciate the likes. Let people know that you like the show, that we're out there, and help the algorithm. People find this show, this breakdown. If you think it's good, shout it, sing it loud. That's all we ask. It's not too much to ask, Ben Marley. I think it's a reasonable ask. All right. Next card, next fight on the docket. We've got my man, Lando Groovy Venata, taking on Daniel Zellhuber. Zellhuber was last seen taking an ass whipping by Trey Ogden, who was last seen taking an ass whipping last week by Ignacio Bahamondes. So MMA math. I don't know what it means. But Venata is effectively slightly underdog here, plus 102. Zellhuber, slight favorite, minus 122. Little weird for me right there. The fight goes the distance prop, a solid minus 170. So the odds makers are leaning on this fight to go to decision. Now, Big Marley, Lando Venata's, he's a wily veteran, been around the block a few times, not that old. He's an underdog to a guy who just lost to Trey Ogden. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I just don't. You just don't know what to expect with this Zellhuber guy because he looked really good before that Ogden fight. That's why he was a big favorite there, and then he just didn't show up. He just didn't pull the trigger. So I mean, that could definitely happen again here. And I think that Venata, if that happens, Venata can win anywhere on the feet. He can mix in takedowns, win on the ground. He could get a knockout. He could get a submission. He could win a decision. But on paper, man, this Zellhuber guy is going to be taller, younger, longer, faster, stronger, higher volume. It's just, is he going to show up or not, man? I don't know. And I think that he is the better striker here. If he does show up, he should be a bigger favorite than he is. So we're getting that discount from him not showing up in his last fight, in my opinion, on the odds and in the salary, which I think makes him playable here. But on the other end, I think Venata's playable as well, just because maybe this guy just has some nerve issues when he gets to the big show. Who knows? I'll play a little bit of both sides. I'm more interested in Zellhuber, though. Give me Zellhuber to win 3 rounds, all 3 on the feet.
At least the salaries are a little more reasonable here, but still not good. Still not good. Monk, do you think it's a lot of scoring potential in this fight? I mean, the odds makers are leaning decision. That's not a good start.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really see it too much here. First of all, we're being asked to once again pay up for Daniel Zellhuber, a guy that's, before last fight has never fought in the UFC. He came in at $9,400. He was like the 3rd or 2nd most expensive guy that week, and he got put in his place by Trey Ogden. As you said, Ogden just got demolished. Zellhuber in that fight put up 1.39 points a minute. 1.45 points a minute at distance, and he's supposed to be the striker. He gave up 10 points a minute when he was inside the distance. I don't know if that was a nerve issue, if that was kind of a panic, debutante type jitters or something like that. But it sure as hell means I can't. I mean, you've watched Tom Breeze. You ever tried to roster Tom Breeze before?
Hell no.
I gotta see if this is a thing, or I gotta see if it was just butterflies for one fight. So I'm gonna go Lando Venata. He's 3-5-2 in 3-round lightweight fights, which I believe is what we have here. Nothing crazy. He allows 6 points a minute, but scores almost 4 a minute. So I do see if he can get some inside the distance game going on Zellhuber, he could have a chance. But he's given up 4 inches of height, 6 inches of reach, 8 years he's giving up as well. Zellhuber is very young, 23 years old. But surprisingly, Venata's only 31. So I'm going to go with Venata. I'm not too comfortable with it, but this is more of a wait and see what Zellhuber actually has to offer. Because I got to throw out that first fight, man. Trey Ogden is not very good, and he put Zellhuber down easily. So I really just got to see what this guy's all about. For that reason, I'll have more of the underdog here.
Man, you did get a full circle with the Tom Breeze mention. I think he's like the first person to ever pull out after lock. And now
that's
after
true.
we start this card talking about that, we get the Tom Breeze mention.
Don't jinx this one.
Right. And Sun Tzu, I went to Nebraska for the weekend, but I'm moving to Texas next week. That's where I'm headed.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, can Lando? I'm leaning on Land. I'm leaning to Lando here.
The veteran experience. I mean, if I'm wrong, then that's cool. Then that means we learned about Zellhuber, and I will adjust things going forward. But
I like that Zellhuber was this massive favorite, and people are saying like, oh, UFC jitters and all of this and all of that, but like Lando Venata destroys Trey Ogden. Like, yeah. I don't love Lando Venata, but he's not a bad fighter. Like, Lando Venata is a solid middling UFC fighter that has done what you would expect. He's lost to guys that are okay, and he's beaten some okay guys. He beat Yancy Madera. That is the perfect win for him. Mm-hmm. He beat Yancy. He beat Grundy, a guy that kind of was like has wins in the UFC. So, and he's losing to Bobby Green and Charles Air Jourdain. Like, those guys are like top 20 guys, like they're not UFC guys. They're pretty good. So, prove it. Zellhuber. I'm not trusting you. Prove it. All right. Let's move on. And by the way, again, who do you guys like? Let us know. Comment section below. I like this next fight. And it's so like clear how it's going to go down. I mean, Marley, you're going to break it down for us, but it's very clear. Anytime Jillian Robertson fights, we know pretty much what needs to happen. She's either going to control the fight with her grappling, or she's going to take a beating, and there's no in between. And this is an interesting one because it's like who's whose wrestling is going to win. Gillian Robertson, -127. Piera Rodriguez, +107. Fight ends inside the distance. A solid, but not spectacular, -135. I think it has a real shot to end inside the distance for either side. But Big Marley, which one of these gals is going to dominate and will be able to control the other with their wrestling? That's the question. You got Gillian moving down in weight.
I mean, shit, you broke it down for us already. That's
you're supposed to tell us which one can actually dominate the wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wish I did know because, I mean, I do think it's a close fight. I think that Gillian Robertson's just the more proven fighter. She's 11-7. Piera Rodriguez is 9-0. So just record wise, people who are you're probably favoring Rodriguez. And then in Piera's last 2 fights, she's like each of these fights. But I would say she's more of a striker. So if she can use her wrestling in defense, I think she could just win all 3 rounds on the feet here. But I think she definitely get takedowns when she wants them here, have success in top control. But that's where she's going to be putting herself in danger. So I don't know that we're going to be looking for Piera Rodriguez takedowns in this one. I'm still willing to take shots on her. But I think Robertson's going to not accept a striking match, and she's going to look to chain wrestle until she can get the fight to the ground. And if she can get the fight to the ground, she is dangerous. She just tapped out Rose Namajunas in a grappling match, and that's got to bring some big-time confidence to her, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go with Robertson in this one. And when she wins, man, she scores 90-plus points every single time. And I think that she's good for that every single time out because she's looking to get the fight to the ground. And she's usually getting submissions when she wins. So I'll be overweight to the Robertson side. I do want some hedge lineups on Rodriguez, though, because I think she could just go out there and look like a -400 favorite if Robertson can't get the takedowns. But, yeah, I think it's a great fight to target right there in the mid-range. Both of them have 10x potential. Robertson has 100-plus potential. So give me Robertson to get the submission.
I like it. Robertson going up against Piera and her 77% takedown defense. Man, Robertson moving down in weight class, Big Marley. Does that affect your thoughts on this? Like, she didn't look particularly strong at 125, though her grappling looks good, but she always looks a little like the weaker one in there. It's my best way of putting it.
I mean, I would think as long as she gets there anyways, as long as it was a good cut, it should just help her just be the bigger girl on this one. She's looking to get the fight to the ground, so that should help her. But I don't look at it too much, especially, just 10 pounds. I feel like they could just cut that in the night before. You wouldn't even know.
Nah, women, the ladies, it's not like guys, Big Marley. It's not like dudes.
Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, I guess I don't know enough.
Yeah, this is not. No, going from for a woman to go from 125 to 115, that's like a man going from like 225 to like 180. I mean, or 190, something like that. Like percentage wise, you're talking about like 10-12% of her body, 10% of her body weight. So at 220, like, yeah, that takes you down to 200. Like, it's a big move. Even 10 pounds for a woman is a big move, especially because she's cutting weight to get to 125. Like, she probably walks around normally at 140. She's cutting down to 120 or 135. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. But
I feel like she won't look that much bigger when they face off, in my opinion. I don't know, though. Maybe it's a good one to look, I guess, at weigh-ins.
Remember when Andrade swapped down and then she became a beast at 115? She was fighting at 125 and 135, and she's just too small. And then she was a beast. Monk.
Way different scenario here, but yeah, I get the point.
Yeah, I just think when women move down, it does affect it more than like guys doing it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that last 10%, I mean, usually she's got to cut to 125, 126, and now she's got another 10% of her body weight to go. That puts a big question in my head. She's never cut to straw weight before, at least in the UFC. I don't know if she has outside of that, but so far here, not at all. It does help me out a bit that when you realize that she is only 27 years old, guys. I thought she was at least 30. Gillian Robertson, 27 years old, so that it's not as bad, as if she was like over 30 or 32, cutting all that extra weight. But Piera Rodriguez, she came in at catch weight, or actually it was a catch weight against Kay Hansen. Kay Hansen missed weight by 1,000,000 pounds. So she just have one 3-round strawweight fight against Sam Hughes, who just looked really good against the world beater Jacqueline Amarim, who fell apart after 5 minutes.
Let's talk about that for a second, Monk.
That was a huge mistake. I mean, people, you got to stop putting all your faith in these people that don't fight more than 5 minutes against UFC vets. That's the lesson.
Did Hughes win because Hughes is like this great fighter?
No, but she has way better cardio. She had a way better game plan. And Amarim was just like, my jiu-jitsu is better than she is everywhere. And that was false. That turned out to be false.
Amarim had her, didn't submit her, tired herself out, and then was just a sitting duck out there.
As soon as she got out of that first rear naked choke, I don't care if she grabbed the glove or not. I knew that it was going to go Sam Hughes' way. If she can't get her on the first one, the shit is over.
That was the ultimate live betting moment.
Ultimate. She was like plus 280 going into against a woman with 6 fights. Oh, astounding.
Yeah. That was, but I don't know if that means that Sam Hughes is so great.
No, I don't think so.
It was really more of a negative on.
It was just a setup for us.
Yeah.
It was finally a good cash spot for us guys.
But those score well, and so although I haven't seen any sort of cardio issues from either of these women.
No, and I'm excited to see what Pieta Rodriguez can do. I mean, 9-0 here. She scored almost 4.2 points a minute against Sam Hughes while allowing only 2. She also in 15 minutes of fighting time scored somehow 17.62 points per minute inside the distance against Sam Hughes while allowing like 15 points less than that. She stuffed every takedown Hughes had. She landed 5.5 strikes per minute, controlled 80% of the grappling time. Yes, that's going to be difficult against Jillian Robertson here. It's just going to depend on how she looks at the weigh-in, man. I'm with Marley, though, 100%. I think this is a sneaky fight. This is the strawweight fight that I will be targeting, probably over Brazil and Gomez for sure. I just think the winner has a great chance of finishing inside the distance. And Robertson, if she does get a sub here, she's 8,200. That's it. And she's scoring like 102 points per submission win over her last couple wins. So I like both sides. I think either one could get it done. And I'm actually excited for this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think the winner of this fight is probably going to score really well. It's super cheap. This is one of the fights that we want to have. And it's hard to predict it. Like I said, even the great Big Marley can't tell me whose wrestling is better than the other one, because how the hell do you know really until you see them go up against one another? Like, I don't know. I mean, this one can wrestle too. By the way, P-Rod, as I call her, she's got takedowns. Like, she's got grappling. She's got takedown defense. She has all of those qualities. So 77% takedown defense, averaging 3.67 takedowns per 15. And Jillian Robertson doesn't even try to stop a takedown. If you go for
she's
a takedown,
at like 28%.
And she allows it. She wants to be there, so she'll just allow it. She's very it's like Mearshart. If you try to take him down, he's like, oops, got me. But really, he's just falling down on purpose because he's very comfortable fighting from the guard. Jillian Robertson's comfortable doing that too, but I've seen Robertson dominated on her back when her opponent knows what they're doing. It's really, really tough to judge female. You know who's here? Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu knows all when it comes to women fighters. So drop your comments, Sun Tzu, on which of these ladies is the better wrestler, because that's who's going to win. I'm kind of leaning P-Rod here, but I just love both of them for DraftKings purposes. I think they're going to score really, really well. All right. Next up,
the people's main event.
I mean, how the hell are these guys both still in the UFC fight of the night between Eddie Herman and Zach Cummings? Now, there are so many red flags on both of these guys. I don't even know where to begin. But Cummings is a minus 220 favorite. My favorite part's coming up at the end. But the comeback on Eddie Herman is plus 180. And my favorite part, Big Marley, is Zach Cummings is the highest priced fighter on DraftKings. What the fuck is going on? Zach Cummings, who has never had a score, probably averaging.
He's had one good score because he had a quick finish.
He has one good score in his career. 60, 70, 60. Oh, there's a Hundy against. Oh, this guy.
Hunter's okay. Hunter's not cutting it though here.
Wasn't Coy his comparable was Glass Jaw from Mike Tyson's Punch Out? looked and fought just like the first guy, Glass Jaw, Mike Tyson Punch-Out. That was his comparable. Not a lot of goodness in this guy's scoring. Oh, there's a big one. But again, first round finishes, he's going up against like a meathead in Eddie Herman, who just has not been knocked out frequently. Like, he's not a guy that is just getting finished in 2 seconds more often than not, even though he's old as shit. So what the hell? 9,600. Do you have any exposure to that whatsoever, Big Marley?
No, not at all. I mean, first of all, 9,600 we know is just priced out of the optimal lineup most of the time. Tatiana Suarez couldn't even get there at 9,600 a couple weeks ago. I just don't know what the heck we're targeting at. I mean, Zach Cummings for at 9,600. So he's the easiest X out since, who was it? Like JJ Aldridge or whatever it was at 9,300, 9,500 like a couple weeks ago. I'm going to act like this fight isn't even a thing. I'm going to X them both out of my lineups. I am probably not going to even watch it. I'll go take the dogs on a walk or something like that. And then I would just never lay minus 215 on Zach Cummings, who's 38 years old. He hasn't fought in 3 years, moving up in weight. The only reason that he's the favorite is because Ed Herman is 42 years old. I want nothing to do with this fight. I think that the winner is going to score 50 points, maybe less in a decision. I'll X them both out of my lineups, but it would be Herman or pass in any sort of gambling format for me.
I hope somebody pulls out of this fight after lock, not before.
Yeah, after lock's fun.
Let this be the one that gets canceled after lock.
Yeah, help me out for once. Come on.
Seriously, it won't even help you because the ownership is going to be 0.
Yeah.
Monk, any chance of scoring here? Like, we already don't like the $9,600 fighter. You need to be Volkanovski or Gregor Gillespie or Merab Dawashvili to pay off 9,600. Can Zach Cummings do it? Does he need to finish within 60 seconds to make it happen?
I mean, no, but then he'd have to just take down Ed Herman, control him for 50. He'd basically have to turn into Jailton Almeida, which he's already trying to do since he is moving up 20 pounds to light heavyweight. He has never fought at light heavyweight before. Zach Cummings, Ed Herman 4-4 at light heavyweight. And I don't know why this is happening, but if you had to do it, go back and watch the Alonzo Menafield Ed Herman fight. It's an absolute dog shit fight. Ed Herman should have been out of that fight, I mean, innumerable times. And Alonzo Menafield just either couldn't or didn't pull the trigger to finish him off. It sucks, but man, it's Herman or pass here. Like, how can you play Zach Cummings at 9,600? Nobody makes optimal at 9,600. It's less than 20% optimal 4 times out of like 21 times. That said, 6,600 is even worse. That doesn't win, and it doesn't ever make optimal either. It's only made optimal twice. But if Ed Herman somehow pulls this off and scores like 60, 70 points, I mean, maybe we get a bad judge. I don't know what would have to happen in order for him to make optimal, but I guess there's a chance. So I'll probably be Xing out Zach Cummings, and if he finishes Ed Herman in the first minute or two, then cool. Ed Herman was finally done at 42, but if Alonzo Menafield couldn't do it, why the fuck would I think Zach Cummings could do it? So let me just X him out, and I'll probably be over the field on Herman, but that's not saying much. I'll probably be over the field at like 10%. So
I'm just going to give a betting take here, guys. Wait, let me go to the widescreen for the betting take, like a betting show. I like Eddie Herman here. Yep. I'll take the plus money. He's way bigger than Zach Cummings. He's fought
way bigger.
Zach has come. Now, I'm not saying go out and make a crazy bet on Eddie Herman, but
Same, I didn't even give a pick now that I think about it. But yeah, give me Ed Herman.
Yeah, I'm on Ed Herman's side here. Like, yeah, he gets.
I had to double take like Zach Cummings. At first, I thought it was Patrick Cummings. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's almost equally as crazy.
And that was Herman's last big win too.
That's true.
He's way bigger than this guy. I mean, come on. He's old.
These dudes are 80 years old put together. Over
Zach
80
Cummings
years old.
Zach Cummings had a catastrophic injury. He's coming back for some serious surgeries. He's been out for years. Eddie Herman, weird as it sounds, has been winning fights in the UFC, like against garbage, but he's winning them.
Right.
I don't know how he did it, but he won those fights. So yeah, give me Ed Herman here. Do I like him as a DraftKings play? No, but you can X button the shit out of Zach Cummings. Not using that. Is he optimal if he wins? You know what? Only if there are other pay-up options that do well, but this card is going wacky. You're going to see as we go through it. Outside of Max Holloway, all in, I don't know how many other pay-up options are any kind of good.
Right, exactly. And in this, and you would think at 6,600 a win is optimal. Well, it's won 3 times and only made optimal twice. So I don't have who it was off the top of my head,
Well,
but
that is
someone
75%
didn't
Yeah.
make the optimal.
It's
So-
that I think I remember the other time it happened, but that was when another 6K fighter also won.
Yeah, probably.
I
if
have
you
a
told
memory
me that
of it.
Herman is going to win this fight, I would take the under 10x. I would take under 66 points, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Fake ass win too. But no, listen, Mike Rodriguez continued to lose after that fight. So yeah. All right. Let's not play that card. But from the worst fight of the night to one of the better fights on the card. And everybody's excited. We all love Brandon Royval. We all love Mateus Nicolau. They're facing off here. Nicolau coming in as a minus 210 favorite. Royval plus 175 as the dog in this fight. Fight ends inside the distance. Minus 135. So 50-50 to go to decision. And Marley, I'm throwing this one right over to you. A fight a lot of people are excited about. A lot of people are calling it their fight of the night. We all love Royval. Nicolau's badass. How does this one go down?
Yeah, this could be a fun fight here. I like Nicolau. I just think he's the better fighter everywhere. I like him to be the better striker. I like him to be the better wrestler. I mean, grappling, if they're just rolling, maybe that's a wash, but I would take Nicolau. I just think he's better everywhere. The issue is that he's $2,000 more, so I think it's going to be a lot easier for Royval to hit the optimal lineup, because if he wins, I'm guessing it's a finish, whether it's a knockout or a flash finish submission, something like that. But he has 100-point potential at $7,100. I would think he would just need some high-paced fight to win a decision, maybe even some judges' help. But I just feel like the minute winning is going to go to Nicolau here. At 9,100, I don't know if he's going to do enough to pay that off. All of his 100-point wins, he's got 300-point wins. All of them have multiple knockdowns in them, and you can't just count on him getting multiple knockdowns each time out there. So this is going to be a DS fight for me. I'll kind of let the domination station control both sides of this one. But if I had to put, well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't even really need Royval at 7,100 because there's not a lot of favorites. I'm not struggling for salary on this one. So I don't have to put either one of these guys in my lineup. They're not going to be in my single entry most likely. Like, I would say I'd rather save the money on most cards, but I can pay up $9,100 on this card, which might make me have more exposure to Nicolau. I don't really know. Maybe it's a 20% or less on both sides for me, but give me Nicolau to win 30-27.
Here's one interesting note I noticed in the stats. And I didn't notice something shocking, but even though Nicolau is not like an aggressive takedowns guy, right? 1.5 per 15. Royval is a willing go to your back fighter. He's only got 39% takedown defense. So, and I guess I'll throw this over to you, Monk. Do you think that combination means we'll see an elevated amount of grappling specifically from Nicolau, or maybe Nicolau's like, screw that. Like, this guy's good on the ground. Nicolau, I think, is his specialty in my mind is his grappling. So does he, make the choice to take it to the ground, do a little bit of DraftKings scoring better than he normally does?
I don't think so. I mean, the guy is 6-1 in 3-round flyweight fights here in the UFC. 5 of those 6 wins have come by way of decision, 1 KO TKO. Meanwhile, Royval 4-2 in flyweight fights, 3 submission wins. Has yet to find a KO TKO win at the weight class here. I'm not counting catchweight fights, obviously, if that's happened. But Royval is getting outscored big time, 2.85 to 4.82 points per minute overall. And then he's allowing over 5 points per minute inside the distance. So like you said, a very willing participant to go off of his back. Neither guy scores well. I mean, Royval in 4 wins, only 90 points per win. I think one of his fights, he got outscored and he won. I forget who it was, like Bontarine or something like that. I don't know. But he got outscored in a win. So I really don't like that. But then I look at Nicolau, and he's got 6 of those wins, 81 points per win. Like, what are we doing here? So he has gone over 102 of those 6 wins, but his other fights are so low that we're averaging 80 points a win, and he scores like crap when he lost, only scoring like 2 points or something like that. So that's a long way of saying I'm going to fade this fight. I don't know how you could. I like Nicolau for cash. I wouldn't be parlaying him, but I don't mind maybe some sort of bet. I'd have, obviously not the money line, but I'd be willing to look into that. I think he gets it done against Royval. I think people overrate Brandon Royval because he comes out like a wild man, and he can knock anybody out. Well, he just hasn't been showing it. So now he's fighting a real tough guy like Mateusz Nicolau, and I think Nicolau gets it done. Probably wins by decision. Probably scores 80 points. Probably doesn't pay off his price tag. So big fade for me here.
Yeah,
in what
Nicolau,
should be an exciting fight.
Fun fight to watch. Not necessarily one that we think is going to score particularly well on DraftKings. And, Nicolau will be open to being submitted in those grappling exchanges. It could definitely happen. There are paths. I think Royval is the guy that is probably the better DraftKings play. But again, that's like more traditional where you need to salary and you need to take some underdogs. And you will see as we continue through this card, until I haven't figured it out yet. But at this point, I haven't seen any real reason to pay up a ton above 9K for max. So we'll see what the rest of the breakdown brings. Hopefully some other plays. All right. Next up, Bill Algeo taking on TJ Brown. Algeo, a -200 favorite. Come back in on Algeo is +170. Fight to end inside the distance, a horrible +150, meaning that this one is -180 to go the distance, an expected decision fight. That is never ideal. Big Marley, we've got, I think, a fun fight. TJ Brown and Bill Algeo. TJ Brown, a takedowns guy. How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I'd say that they're both well-rounded fighters, but I give the edge on the feet to Algeo, the edge on the wrestling edge to Brown. Algeo doesn't have great takedown defense, so I think Brown can really rack up takedowns here in each round. He's just not the smartest fighter of all time. He's got chin issues at times. He's been submitted from side control, which is not a good look, but he's a guy who will go out there and look to fight at a high pace. And in his Griffin fight, he landed 7 takedowns before he was submitted in top control, but 7 takedowns within 2 rounds. I just love targeting those types of fighters. At $7,400, he has 100-point upside in a decision win. Algeo is very hard to control on the ground, though, so it's hard to rely on Brown enough to where I want to bet on him. He's going to go out there and win 2 or 3 rounds with his takedowns. But it could lead to him getting just more takedowns throughout the fight. If Algeo is going to be getting up and Brown's losing on the feet, he's going to have to keep looking for these takedowns. So I like Brown in this one because I think he has the higher ceiling. Algeo's not much of a scorer. I think if he is stuffing takedowns, he probably picks apart Brown on the feet for 3 rounds. He could get a knockout or a submission, but that's really his upside, is he's going to have to get a finish here, especially if he's spending time on his back. If Brown's getting 5 takedowns and losing the fight, Algeo's probably not scoring a whole lot of points. So I don't want a lot of Algeo exposure. I will be overweight, I'm guessing, to Brown, though. So give me Brown to get the upset. I'd rather just bet him. That's why. The line talked me into it. If it's pick him, give me Algeo. But it's not pick him. He's like a 2-1 favorite, and I would rather just bet Brown if I had to do it. If I had to bet the money line.
I like it. I like the call. Monk, what about the metrics here?
I'm with Marley all the way here. I like the underdog. I like Bill Algeo. I want to see him do well. I'm not, I'm impartial to TJ Brown personally, so I'll be rooting for Algeo. A Philly guy, and I got some buddies up in Philly. Shout out Lou Betya. But man, I mean, Marley broke it down perfect. Algeo, if he's going to win, this is going to be a striking affair. But that said, TJ Brown in these 3-round featherweight fights is actually outscoring Bill Algeo 4 points a minute to 3.5 points a minute. He's outscoring him at distance by 0.5 point per minute. And he's also outscoring him inside the distance by 1 point a minute. So, I mean, the metrics say TJ Brown is looking decent for a dog here at $7,400. Both these guys' takedown defense are terrible. 42% for Brown in these featherweight fights, 54.5% for Bill Algeo. So not great. Brown actually controls over half of the grappling time that he's in compared to Algeo, which is like 40%. I'm hoping Algeo wins, but Brown is the one that's made the optimal lineup. 2 out of his past 3 fights for these 3-round featherweight fights before or after January 1st, 2001. He's 2 times optimal out of 3 fights. Meanwhile, Algeo is once. I believe he was like 76 or something $100 underdog to Joe Anderson Brito, something like that, and came through in the clutch to make optimal. This time he's $8,800. I don't know how we're going to be able to pay up for him. Both guys score right in the range of 90 points per win. If that's the case, my money's going on TJ Brown at $1,400 cheaper than Bill Algeo.
I like both sides of this one. I love the metrics here, of course, with Brown being an aggressive grappler and Algeo's takedown defense not being very good. But Algeo is able to get back up. He is good at that. I see him getting right back up when he gets taken down. So that could also lead to a high number of takedowns. There's a lot of things that leads to for scoring purposes. Also, the fact that Algeo can go for a takedown and TJ Brown doesn't really try to stop that when you do it means there could be some scoring on the other side. So I just think this fight is action. I'm a little surprised that the inside the distance prop was as soft as it is. But, 3 rounds of fighting between these two guys that are both action fighters. I think it's going to lead to points. And again, on a card where there's not a lot of points to be had. There are some points to be had. We're getting to some of these better fights, but not a lot. So this is one of those fights that I like both sides of it. I'm going to slightly lean Algeo here, but I would not bet him at -200. Hell to the no. If I was betting this, it's definitely for me, TJ Brown or pass. And you guys liking Brown helps me say maybe I might throw a bet on that because I think it's a super close fight. And if I can get +170 on a close fight, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and we know Algeo has tons of cardio, and he's a tough son of a bitch. So if Brown goes the takedown route like Marley thinks, this could be rinse and repeat takedowns. We could see another 7-8 takedowns. Who knows, man? Who knows?
It could happen. Absolutely could happen. All right, next up, another one. I'm like, I don't know what to make of this one. I think I'm excited for one side. I think I have a really interesting bet for this one. But we've got Rafa Garcia taking on Clay Guida. Garcia -250, Guida +210 as the underdog here. The fight goes to decision, is a surprisingly high -185. And listen. Rafa Garcia is famous for one thing and one thing only. He took a loss to Chris Grutzemacher. That's like running into your offensive lineman's ass as the Jets quarterback and fumbling the football. He butt fumbled to Chris Grutzemacher. I'm calling it a butt fumble, Big Marley. I don't care. No one else calls it that? I don't give a shit. That's what I call it. He butt fumbled.
It's the first butt fumble I've heard on this fight.
Yeah, he butt fumbled. You can't lose to Grutz. Can't lose to the Grutz. You can't. But he's been better. Monk, your mic is off.
Sorry, it was that fight since when I started tracking salaries that Garcia was the first $9,500 to give up a $6,700 optimal and a win.
He committed the Cruciatus curse, the unforgivable curse. That's right. I brought some Harry Potter lore into this shit. Big Marley, you didn't expect any of that to happen. You didn't expect a butt fumble. You didn't expect Harry Potter. Didn't expect a Cruciatus curse. Guys, stay tuned. You don't know what's coming next. I'm fucking out of control.
It's true.
So anyway, we're talking fights. Big Marley, how's this one go down?
What fight are we talking about now? Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember.
Garcia, Clay Guida. Yeah, I kind of like this fight because both guys just want to do the same thing. They want to get the fight to the ground and grind out minutes there. And if they can make that work out, they have a chance of scoring well on DraftKings. I would just rather take the Garcia side. He's 13 years younger. I think he'll have the striking and the wrestling edge at this point. But Clay probably has the cardio edge. He could definitely Grixkaminer or whatever that guy's name was.
He's gonna Grutzenmacher. He's gonna Grutzenmacher him.
I'm like mixing him and the wine together. But I mean, that could definitely happen if Garcia's going out there and he's wrestling heavy in the first round. He's going to start slowing down. Probably, maybe Guida can come back and have the success in 2 and 3. But I don't know. I'd rather pay up for Garcia. He's my favorite pay up option on the slate. We like the $9,500 salary tag, and we like fighters who are 13 years younger than their opponent. Garcia is probably going to be forced into half of my lineups or more.
So many. It's crazy.
But I'm okay with some Clay Guida exposure as a hedge too, just because I don't trust Garcia. But on a card where I don't want to pay up for anybody, Garcia is going to fit into a lot of lineups, I think.
I want to point out that Garcia was not training at Elevation when he lost to Grutzenmacher at Elevation Fight Team, and he is training there now.
Got to learn from losses.
Maybe he learned. Yeah, he learned that lesson. I don't know.
And he scored 69 points in that fight in a loss. Give him the win. That's 99 points. I mean, we like that work rate. He's had 24 takedowns in his last 5 fights. Like, I just like to target guys like that. So going against a guy who's like 83 years old, I'm cool taking some shots on him.
You know what I like about this one? I like that Clay Guida gets submitted all the time. Like, he just gets submitted all the time.
Yeah.
And
he's got like 11 or more submission losses, I believe.
He never learned how to defend it. And this guy, when he wins by submission more often than not. You know what that math tells me? Let me see if there's a submission prop yet. Fight ends by submission or decision minus 1,000. What? Oh, no. I don't want that. Hold on. Garcia by submission. Garcia by submission plus 375. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm into it.
I'm all over that. How about a plus 375 given out on the show here? Lock it in. It's happening. What do you say, Monk?
I love it. Also 40. I have a bunch of age stats now. I went crazy last week and did a bunch of ages. Since 2021, 41-year-olds across the board are 2-8. That is a 20% win rate. They are winless at lightweight, 0-2. So I don't know if that really tells you anything, but I'm going to be on the Rafa Garcia side here. I hate to be that guy, but he is not Brazilian. He is from Mexico, so you got to throw that R on there, baby. Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia scores 6.23 points per minute inside the distance. The problem is Clay just doesn't allow anything. He's 15-11 in 3-round lightweight fights, has been subbed in 5 of those 11 losses. The other 6 losses were all decisions. I just think he's a little, he's pushing the envelope as far as age goes. So give me Garcia. I don't mind paying up for him. He's pretty much the only other 9K guy that I actually like. That said, I would not be parlaying him. I wouldn't be parlaying anyone against Clay Guida at any time, unfortunately. Probably don't mind him for cash, but it might be tough to get to him. I like him a lot more for GPPs. Clay Guida, I probably am not going to play a ton of because if you listen to me, as much as we like the $9,500 salary, $6,700 is very, very poor, making the optimal just twice out of 39 uses for a 5% optimal rate. It also has a 5% win rate, and if you pay attention to math, that's only 2 wins out of 39 fights. So Clay Guida's got a Sisyphus-esque hill to climb here, and I think Rafa Garcia is going to get it done. That said, I don't know if he can score his average of 104 against Guida, because Guida does not give up any points at all. In fact, let's see, 83 is what he gives up on average in 11 lightweight losses. So I don't mind Garcia, but I'm probably going to be forced to play a little bit less than I usually would, just because Clay Guida is an MFer, man. He is an MFer.
He just gets submitted, though.
He does. He loves getting submitted. He really does. That said, I guess it's only 4 fights, 2 wins at lightweight, only 1 submission win for Garcia at lightweight. So we'll see if he can get another one here against Guida. I don't mind the play at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at it. He's going to need a fairly quick submission. I mean, there's a lot. There's no volume striking that to be expected here. I would actually expect a lot of pushing but takedowns galore. Garcia averaging 4.25 takedowns per 15. Guida's got a pretty good takedown defense, 68%. So he's not bad. Guida get the win against Holtzman. Holtzman a takedowns guy. So take from that what you will. In that win against Holtzman, Holtzman had 0 takedowns. It was Guida as the aggressor. And so if that happens here and Guida's on top, successfully getting the takedowns, we could just see sort of a low scoring stinker or a low scoring Guida win. So Big Marley said 50% owned on Garcia.
Yeah, I feel like he'll be in half of my lineups. So yeah, it'll probably be like mid 40s and on ownership, I would think. Something like that. I haven't done it yet.
Got to see if anybody else turns up that is viable. But we're 3/4 of the way through this card, and we haven't found a lot of sexy pay up options at all. We'll see. But yeah, my pick is Garcia by submission, in case you didn't figure it out. All right. Next up, we have got Chris Gutierrez taking on Pedro Munoz. Gutierrez, the leg kick specialist, coming in at -110 with a comeback on Munoz, +175. Fight probably likely to go. Yeah, here we go. Likely to go the distance, -185. So, Big Marley, Chris Gutierrez, leg kicker extraordinaire. I was a little surprised when I saw this line. I was a little surprised because Pedro Munoz was in the discussion for, fighting for championships. He was kind of an elite guy. And maybe is Gutierrez on the ups? Is Gutierrez elite? Because he's, I guess. I always thought of him as a flawed fighter.
Yeah, I'm definitely not sold on Gutierrez. I don't think that the line is warranted. I think that the line is where it is because Gutierrez hasn't lost in 5 years, and Pedro Munoz has won 1 fight in his last 6. So it's kind of, in my opinion, a recency bias thing, but this is the biggest step up for Gutierrez, where it's the biggest step down probably for Pedro Munoz. I think this is a very close fight. I think leg kick specialist going against a guy who only landed leg kicks in his last fight until it ended. This could be just a lot of leg kicks on the feet here, but I think Munoz has a little bit more power on the striking. Gutierrez probably the more crisp striker. I don't know, man. I think the striking's very close in this one. Maybe a slight edge to Gutierrez, but give me the ground edge to Munoz. If he wants to actually go out there and look to wrestle, which he never does, I think he could have a lot of success on the ground. And he's got one of the meanest guillotines in the game. Even if the line was closer than it is, I would still be on the Munoz side. So give me Munoz here to win 2 rounds or get a submission, maybe even win all 3.
Betting this one?
Possibly.
I can always tell you get a little excited, Big Marley. I can see the excitement.
I can't wait to get robbed by the judges.
Get a little smile going. Get that little twinkle in your eye. I can see it. Monk, how do leg kicks score well on DraftKings? How does that work?
I'd have to do a little bit of deeper diving in there, but as far as leg kicks go for bantamweights, I'm tracking 108 bantamweights currently. Chris Gutierrez, number 1 overall with leg kicks landed per minute at 2.11. He's also the number 1 thrown per minute at 2.68. This is over 9 UFC fights. Then you have Pedro Munoz, 1.66 landed per minute. That is 3rd best overall, and he throws the 3rd most leg kick. These guys are leg kick masters. That's all they do. That said, I'm going to go with El Guapo, not just because of the better nickname, because plus how can you be a 36-year-old man calling yourself the young anything? I think you need to update that nickname, Pedro Munoz. How about just the Punisher?
Yeah, at this point, it's just the Punisher.
Yeah, exactly. Give me El Guapo here, man, the legend killer. Put down Frankie Edgar with ease. I'm going to go with Gutierrez here. I mean, I like him. He's almost 32 years old. Munoz is closer to 37 than 36. He's got a big height disadvantage. He's got a bit of a reach disadvantage as well. That said, Munoz doesn't really allow too many points overall. I believe he is 9-6 in 3-round bantamweight fights, while Gutierrez is 5-1-1. This would be a complete trap fight for me if if Gutierrez scored better than he does, and he scores almost the worst out of any person on the entire card in those 5 3-round bantamweight fights, 79 points. You can round up if it makes you feel better. 80 points per win. That's it. He's $9,400 this week. He's only put up one fight over 100 points. And at 9,400, that's not a guarantee that you're going to make the optimal lineup. So if he was like 85, 86, I'd probably screw myself by putting way too much Gutierrez in. But since he's 9,400, DraftKings just did my job for me, man. I can pretty much X Gutierrez out. I think he wins. I think he beats Munoz in a decision. But if he doesn't, like I'll have some Munoz exposure probably. But Gutierrez at 9,400, that seems like a crazy proposition. So I'm going to be well under the field there. People are really going to be looking hard for these 9K guys this week. And I think a lot of people are going to settle on Gutierrez, and I don't think that's the best play.
Marley, if Zach Cummings wasn't on this card, he'd be the easiest X out
exactly.
There is, because he only scores well when he gets knockouts, and Pedro Munoz has never been finished.
Nope.
Gutierrez has never scored more than 75 points in a decision win. He scored that twice, and he's had like a 50s and a 60s. I will have 0 Gutierrez this week. I don't expect a high score from Munoz either, but at 6,800, he's just going to have a whole lot easier time getting there in a decision win. And he also has the finishing upside, in my opinion, as well. So I'll probably end up overweight on him. I like him in cash games as well.
I like that.
I'm gonna take some lessons that I got from Jean-Claude Van Damme in Kickboxer, the movie. Right, these guys, when they're kicking the tree in training, Thai training, you know what I'm saying? The leg, it's getting used to getting hit. So both of these guys are leg kick specialists. What that tells me is Pedro Munoz probably not likely after like 4 or 5 kicks, Victor Martinez style, to like have his leg just blown up and I can't walk. Like his leg is probably conditioned to take a beating because he's always delivering a beating with it. Therefore, the only way that Chris Gutierrez has ever scored well in a fight, ever, I watched all of his fights, was when he was knocking people down with leg kicks. Remember that Martinez fight? He knocked him down 4 times with leg kicks, right? Martinez's leg was fucked like the 3rd kick.
Yeah, and they actually counted them as knockdowns too.
Yeah, and miraculously those count as that. Of course, I full faded it. It brings back bad. I only remember bad things. I never remember good things. Why? What the fuck is with my brain that I only remember negative shit? I remember watching that going, I can't believe I faded this guy, and there's another knockdown, and there's another. That I don't think that's going to happen here.
You had the right idea, though, man. It's only 1 fight out of 5. Like, that shit's going to happen. You're going to get these anomalies. It just sucks that you maybe did or didn't put money down on it, but I think it's a safe bet.
That one time, I just always have faded him. Like this style of only landing 3 kicks per minute, it's really a good way to win a fight, but it's not a very good way to score well on DraftKings. And one of the weird things about Gutierrez is like they keep giving him opponents that won't take him down. Like he gets these wins because like put him in there with a grappler once.
Oh yeah. And
he's toast. He doesn't do it well. So I don't know. Again, Jean-Claude Van Damme kicking the tree. You know, you kick me in the leg right now, I'm probably hobbled for like a month and it'll only take 1 kick. Like Joe Rogan gave me a leg kick. I saw something on the Joe Rogan show. He's like, this reporter wanted he's like, people don't understand how much a leg kick hurts. But these guys are kicking each other. Like if I kick you with my leg, and my fucking leg's going to hurt too, because I'm not used to it. These guys know what they're doing. Professional leg kickers. No one's getting knocked out with a leg kick. It's just going to be it's going to look like the kid and play dance. This fight is going to be like kid and play. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like kick, back, kick.
Pretty much.
You know what I'm talking about.
Pretty much.
Kid and play. I
baby.
I like Munoz, man. I think he's got better hands. And I think if they're both delivering leg kicks and Munoz is punching, is landing more strikes to the head, the judges are going to give him the decision here.
Yeah.
I'm taking Munoz. I'm betting Munoz by decision. And I like him to win this decision. Do I think it's going to score well on DraftKings? No. It's another DraftKings turd. Unframed. Now, one fight that's not a DraftKings turd is probably going to be this next one, with Jan Kutalaba taking on Tanner Boser. Kutalaba minus 127, Boser plus 107. Big Marley, Boser heavyweight. Now he's coming down. He's going to fight at light heavy. He's taking on Kutalaba. Kutalaba's a guy that got 8 takedowns in a round and then lost the fight. That's who he is. That's what he does. Man, I fucking loaded up on Kutalaba against Kennedy and Chikwikwi like I've never done before. I was so confident. It was one of my biggest bets. And my boy just got himself knocked out. And now I have no faith.
Yeah, I feel like I never again to myself with Kutalaba after that one.
Yeah.
But I like him again here.
Isn't this the same fight, though? Isn't this the same exact fight?
Yeah. So instead of not having like any Kennedy, I doubt I had much Kennedy. I don't remember what the hell happened on that card, but I'll have to have some Boser here because I don't trust Kutalaba after round 1. I think Kutalaba is the better wrestler here. He's a scarier striker with more power. I think he can go out there and dominate the first round 10-8 if he doesn't finish type deal. After that, I think Boser can start to take over. He's probably the more technical striker throughout the fight, and especially in rounds 2, and then more so in rounds 3. And if Kutalaba away late too, but I think that Kutalaba has 100-point guide, even in a decision. What did he have? He had 127 DraftKings points against Devin Clark in a decision because he racked up 8 takedowns. And in the fight before that, he had 9. It was a draw. He scored 89 points. Like, these are the fighters I like to target. He might fall apart after round 1, but he's cheap this time. If he does get 100 points, he's going to be on the optimal lineup. So give me Kutalaba to get it done. I'm not going to bet him because I don't fucking trust this guy anymore.
I forgot to mention before, the fight is minus 275 to end inside the distance. We've got Vince in the chat talking about Boser as his kill shot. I love that as a pick.
Oh,
and Big Marley, is this the same fight? This guy lost this exact same fight against Kennedy and Chukwi. But yeah, I keep getting sucked into Ian Kutalaba too in that first round. Is there a bet that I could just bet the first round? Is there a book that just gives you like this guy wins the first round on the cards?
Oh, nah, not that
I want that on a sports book or some way to take advantage of that, because what you said is so right. Jan is winning the first round of this fight. Like, he is going to dominate the shit out of the first round. And then
potential draw too. I mean, if you like betting that sort of thing, 10-8 first round, 10-9 the next 2 for Boser.
Very possible. Monk, how do you see this one going down? There's a lot of scoring for Jan per minute, I'm sure, but then he loses the fight.
Yeah, same exact thing. And Jan's going to go crazy in the first round, and that might be all he need. Boser has never cut down to light heavyweight. He was always small for a heavyweight, and then he starts losing to guys like, I believe, or he beat OSP, losing to Arlovsky. Latifi was a bad one. Nascimento was not great. I like Kutalaba here. He's had a rough go of it, man. Ryan Spann, Johnny Walker, Kennedy, and Chukwu. That said, Boser is not really doing much for me offensively at all. He only scores 90 points in his last 5, 90 points per win over his last 2 wins. And in the UFC, he's got 4 wins, 88.5 points per win, 2.3 points a minute. The only thing I like out of Boser is he's almost $1,000 cheaper than he usually is. So for that reason, I guess I'll have some of him rostered. But I like Kutalaba here. I think he's going to get it done early. Even if he doesn't, man, you got to roster this guy. Like somebody said, I mean, his numbers are ridiculous. Where are we at? He's got, let's see, he's 5-8-1 in 3-round light heavyweight fights, scores 4.2 points a minute, almost 7 points a minute inside the distance while allowing just 2.39. 110 per win, 77% control time, controls 63% of the grappling time. His ceiling is one of the highest on the card. If Max Holloway wasn't here, it probably would be the highest. 4 of those 5 wins over 100 points, guys. You got to roster Kutalaba, but just like last week, we told you not to roster Holland because of fight IQ reasons, or at least don't roster a ton of him because of fight IQ. You got the same thing going on here. So, there's a lot of intangibles. Kutalaba's fight IQ, the fact that he wears himself out almost immediately, the fact that Boser's coming down a weight class to 205. It's going to be an interesting fight. I will probably fade it overall. Maybe I don't think you can fade this fight. Actually, you got to have a ton of Cutelaba. I just wasn't going to play a lot of Bozer.
You got to play Bozer. You got to play Bozer.
I guess you do. I'm not happy about it though. He scores like absolute shit. Like he's never a good DraftKings.
Throw it out.
Never a good DraftKings guy.
You got to throw it out. This is all about Jan here.
Well, Cutelaba only allows 93 points in 8 losses. That's it. 93. I don't know if that's going to be good enough at 7,800. That's not even 13x.
I think that's good enough. We got minus 275 to end inside the distance. There's a couple of stats here. First of all, Bozer actually has power, but maybe he couldn't knock out heavyweights because he was too small. Now he's going up against Cutelaba, who got knocked the fuck out by Kennedy and Chokwe. So, like, why can't Bozer knock this guy out? Kennedy is not that good of a fighter. You should not lose to him. I fucking bet so much on that.
I don't think Bozer's ever fought anyone anywhere close to the level of energy that Cutelaba. He fought Arlovsky, the most passive guy in the world. He fought Latifi, the second most passive guy. OSP doesn't do anything. Nascimento's a jiu-jitsu player. Like, Cutelaba's he could come in there and rip this dude's head off if it goes his way. He could absolutely smash Bozer.
I think Cutelaba wins this fight in the first round.
Yeah, same. And for that reason, I mean, I'm gonna play the ownership game with Bozer. I bet you he's about 20. I bet you he's about 20%. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with him.
I got to have some Bozer. Just because Cutelaba has burned me both ways. If you don't play Cutelaba, he will burn you. Mm-hmm. If you don't play his opponent, he will burn you. So you got to play a little bit of the opponent. Yeah, got to have some Bozer. But I love Jan again, but I'm afraid to go back to him. I feel like burned me twice. I feel like it's like you have this girlfriend and she cheated on you. And she comes back and she's like, I promise I'll never do it again. And like, that you shouldn't believe her because she's fucking lying. But she's looking hot and you want to bang her.
She's got that green face paint on. What are you going to do, man?
I want to take her back. But I know she's full of shit. She belongs to the streets.
Yeah, like if he comes out with the Hulk face paint at weigh-ins, I'm definitely upping my exposure 10%.
Oh, he is definitely coming with the Hulk. He is definitely bringing the Hulk face paint out.
I hope so.
Jan Cutelaba belongs to the streets. I'm just saying it. Keeping it real. I like Jan to win in the first round, but I'm worried as hell about it. And I'm putting on, I'm wearing protection is all I'm saying. Belongs to the streets. All right. On that note, next up, we've got Dustin Jacoby taking on Azamat Murazkanov. And Jacoby's coming in as a minus 162 favorite. The comeback on Azamat is plus 140. The fight ends inside. Man, they don't make it easy here. Minus 135 to end inside the distance. Big Marley. All right. I've got a question. I've been thinking about this fight all week. So Azamat Murazkanov, he's got the name of a wrestler grappling lunatic, right? But he has not employed any of that in his UFC fights because he's just beating the shit out of people. So my question for you is, does he have that skill? He's just not using it? Or is this guy what he's shown himself to be exclusively in the UFC, which is more of a striker, a guy who's going to stand with Dustin Jacoby and bang? Is he going to stand and bang with Dustin Jacoby? Is he going to be grappling him? Because I think Dustin Jacoby is somebody that if you have grappling, you probably want to consider using it. What do you say?
See, I think he's definitely got takedown ability in his game. I don't really remember much of his regional scene. I don't remember that being like his game plan. I think he's mainly a striker, but this is the matchup where you're going to need to turn into a wrestler, or I think which is more likely grind it up against the cage. Just get him there and use your weight against him. Just don't let Jacoby strike at range because he's going to be the much better kickboxer at range here. And if Murzakhanov can't close the gap, I think Jacoby's just going to clearly win all 3 rounds. I'm not sold on Murzakhanov. I don't think he's that good, to be honest with you. But I do think he has a style that could beat Jacoby if he could just close the distance and either get the fight against the cage or on the ground, because that's where Jacoby struggles the most. So I think Murzakanov is definitely in play. He probably scores more than 10x if he gets the win here. Might even have 100-point upside, because Jacoby, I'm picking Jacoby to win. I think Jacoby keeps this fight on the feet, wins 2 or 3 rounds of striking, but that's not going to do us much good on DraftKings unless he gets a knockout. He's like a first round knockout or bust type fighter at 8,900 because he's not going for takedowns, and he's probably not going to have high enough volume, especially if he's fighting off takedowns and fighting against the cage, to score well in the decision here. So I would rather just save the money and target Murzakanov, and maybe he can have a smart game plan and pull it off, because I'm not trying to pay $8,900 for Jacoby, but I'm picking Jacoby to get the win, which is going to keep me low on Murzakanov. This is a fight I'll mostly avoid and give me a 70, 75-point Jacoby win.
That is the problem, Monk, with Jacoby. I can't imagine that he's a prolific points per minute scorer.
Excuse me, not really, but this guy is a kickboxer, a legit kickboxer. I have misplayed him several times. Jacoby's a guy I just can't get right, man. No matter what I do. I thought Daun Jung had a decent shot against him, and he got absolutely effing smashed by Dustin Jacoby. So I don't know what to do with this guy. He scores well. He's outscoring his opponents everywhere except for inside the distance, and where he gives up 8 points a minute inside the distance. Murzakanov scores actually very well. 4.2 points a minute in 2, let's see, light heavyweight fights up to this point, getting barely outstruck or outscored at distance, but inside the distance, he is scoring 7 points per minute. Actually, yeah, 7 points per minute and allowing less than 1. So if Murzakanov is smart, he will definitely look to employ a ground game, a ground strategy against the kickboxer, the one track mind kickboxer of Dustin Jacoby, who scores 100 points per win. Also, that said, Murzakanov only has spent 22.5% of his total fight time fighting in the distance, but he's controlled 86% of that fight time. If he's smart, he will definitely look to raise that number here against the much bigger and much better striking of Jacoby. But that said, man, I like the $7,300 tag. Jacoby's made the optimal lineup in 2 out of his last 6 fights at the weight class. I like Murzakanov here. I'm going to hope for another underdog $7,300 price tag to cash this week. Maybe a decision, 2 rounds to 1 if he can get a bunch of control time and look decent on the ground. That's how I would look to play it. But, man, there's just no promise with Murzakanov as to what if he's going to employ that type of strategy with only 22% of his total fight time fighting inside the distance. So this is definitely a matchup where he should look to exploit that. Jacoby's got 48% takedown defense. So give me Murzakanov for a little underdog play here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I just want to know, like, I think there's a very clear path for Azamat here to win this fight. And he probably
just has to do it.
He probably needs 2 takedowns over the course of the entire 3-round fight. Just like win your round. I think the striking is going to be super even. And if you can get the takedown, you probably steal the round. And he's got a path to win. I kind of like Murzakanov by decision as a bet here. I'm going to tell you what the odds are on that.
Yeah, what is that?
Hang on a second, but let me just pull that up. So again, wins by decision is plus 500, dude. That's a good, comfortable number. I only have to win that once every 5 times. Big Marley, plus 500 seems like too long of an odds. It seems too good. Yeah. Too good of a number.
I would agree. Usually if I'm getting plus money, I'd just prefer the money line, but that's probably good enough to make me rather take the decision prop.
Yeah, just take it. Just take it. Plus 500. Like, yeah, I know I'm not going to hit that every single time, but how often do you hit a plus 500? Like, let's fucking do it. We got 2 by decision takes here. I only need 1. We got 2 so far. And I got a 3rd one coming up.
Long odds.
I'm not finished. I got another one on the way. We only need 1 of them to win, to turn a profit. All right. Vince is already changing his kill shot. Just noticed that Edson Barbosa is the underdog in the co-main event, taking on Billy Quarantillo. Billy Q minus 180. The favorite, Edson Barbosa, plus 160. The underdog. Man, I don't. It's funny. I kind of thought like Edson Barbosa was like done with the UFC. Keeps popping up. He seems like he's been around for a while. But this one is minus 125 to end inside the distance. Another 50-50 fight. There's only so far just was it 2 fights on this card that are above like minus 120 to end inside the distance. We got a lot of decisions on the way here. I got a weird feeling about this card that salary is going to be irrelevant, that a lot of underdogs are coming through. But Big Marley, Barbosa, not known for his grappling, known as a kickboxer. He's taking on Billy Q. Billy Q is the favorite. How do you see this one going down?
So yeah, Barbosa, I mean, the original leg kick king. He's got multiple leg kick finishes. Just nasty. One of my favorite strikers of all time, but he's like 37, 38 years old now. Definitely towards the end of his career. Still going to have the striking edge for sure, especially go out there spark Billy Q early because it takes a while for Billy Q to get started. But I just think after the first round, especially if Billy can go out there, possibly dominate the fight on the ground and set a pace that Barbosa really can't keep up with, possibly drown him late here. But even if he doesn't, this guy has 120-point potential in a decision. When he wins, he scores. He's got 125 points, 141, 109, 131. And then he's got one with 85, which would be his worst win. Still not too bad. And then he's also got a 70-point or a 76-point loss. Like, this guy goes out there and fights for your money, fights at a very high pace, a pace that Barbosa can just not keep up with. So if he can make this a dirty fight, I like Billy Q to get the win. If he thinks he can go out there and strike at range with Barbosa, he's probably going to get fucked up. So I'll take the Billy Q side, but it might take a few minutes for him to start looking like he should be the favorite in this fight.
Let's take a look at the numbers, Monk. Billy Q, almost 8 strikes per minute landed. Those are Max Hollowayian type numbers.
Oh yeah, and in fact, in he's 4-2 in 3-round featherweight fights. He's actually landing 8.21 in those fights, strikes per minute. I love Billy Q. For guys that aren't named Max Holloway or Jan Kutalaba, Billy Q is probably the most prolific DraftKings scorer on this entire card, and it's not even close. Guy scores 5.5 points a minute, 5.13 points at distance, 4.3 inside the distance. Meanwhile, Barbosa's giving up a ton in the distance himself, 4.19, and only scoring 80.17 per win. Now, most of Barbosa's fights are at lightweight. This is just his 5th fight at featherweight. So all these stats I have, are just the featherweight stats in which he is 2-2 in the UFC. 1 KO win and 1 decision win. He's got 42.86% takedown defense, only controlling 17.5% of the grappling time. His ceiling is one of the lowest on the entire card. His strength of schedule is the only stat that I actually like, and it is a bit better than Quarantillo. But I'm going to have so much Quarantillo in this spot, man. I think he gets it done. I think he scores very well. And like Marley said, in a loss, Quarantillo still performs fantastically. In those 2 losses I mentioned at the weight class, over 60 points on average per loss. Now, that's not going to get it done at, $8,700. But for all the people that are so expensive this week, $9K and above, I think Quarantillo has the potential to break the slate even at $8,700. He could put up 120 here against Barbosa, even in a decision. I mean, the guy is a very prolific scorer. So I absolutely love this fight. And when Quarantillo loses, he gives up 119.8. So there's a ton of points flying around. I'll have both sides rostered way heavier on Quarantillo, like 4-1 probably as far as my exposure goes.
Yeah, I really like it too for that reason. I love guys that deliver quality fantasy performances time and time and time again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Billy Q is hittable, sure, but he's also throwing 8 strikes per minute. I don't think anybody's going to land 8 strikes per minute on Edson Barbosa. He's like probably too good for that style, but if he gets takedowns, Edson has good takedown defense, 75%, but Billy, he'll be wild in there. He'll be going for it. I like this fight. I am definitely leaning Billy Q, but Barbosa is a live dog as well, and you can't ignore him. Barbosa could win this thing in the first 60 seconds, just break the slate. That could happen too. It's not out of the realm of shit that could happen. All right, guys, on to the main event. My favorite, I already have bets on this fight, but my favorite fight on the card, I love Max Holloway. As long as he doesn't do his whole, like, I'm an older fighter and I'm fighting Frankie Edgar, so I'm going to turn off my volume and respect my opponent. That's not coming here. Got Holloway taking on Arnold Allen. Holloway minus 180, Allen plus 160 as the underdog. Fight goes the distance. Another minus 130 fight to go the distance. With all that out of the way, Big Marley. Max Holloway. He doesn't lose fights unless his opponent is either Dustin Poirier, or, heavier guy, or Alexander Volkanovski. That's it. He doesn't lose fights. Is Arnold Allen at that level? Is Arnold Allen like that type of fighter? See that guy?
Man, see, I don't know. On paper, everything definitely points to Holloway. Just unreal volume. Probably the better striker. Been 5 rounds. Will not slow down at all. But I don't know, man. To me, it just seems like a changing of the guards here. Like Holloway coming off of 3 losses to Volkanovski. Can he get that belt back? Like, what's his motivation in this one? He's also absorbed more significant strikes than anybody in the history of the UFC. He's already really not sparring. He's thinking about, his head in the future. He's got known concussions. And now Arnold Allen, a guy who's been in the UFC for like 8 years, maybe more, never lost. 10-0 in the UFC, looking better and better, in my opinion, in the last couple fights. I don't know. I just feel like he can go out there and hurt Holloway like a Marlon Vera type thing. He's probably going to be down on volume, but maybe he could steal around by landing some hard shots. And he can also look to wrestle. I think he can have success on the ground here. So I'm going to pick the underdog. I'm going to go ahead and just take Arnold Allen to find a way to win. Maybe he doesn't even deserve it. Maybe he goes out there and looks like he should lose every round, and the judges still give it to him. But at the same time, Max Holloway is the one with the highest ceiling in the world almost. He scored 209 points in a fight before. I believe he's been over 160 at least once before that as well. He's the guy who has the highest ceiling on the card. So I'd expect him to be very highly owned. I cannot fade him for sure. And I don't know. I don't see Allen having a high ceiling unless he's able to get a finish. He could go out there and score 90 points or something like that if he gets the win. But I feel like if Holloway wins, he's probably good for 100 or more. I don't know. I'm fine with either one of them in my DraftKings. I just think that Arnold Allen will be lower owned. He's an underdog I'm going to pick to win. So he's probably going to be my leverage play, which is scary to say. It's like I've never faded Holloway before. I'm not going to fade him here, but I'll probably end up underweight to Holloway, just thinking maybe he doesn't show up with 200 plus significant strikes in this one.
Interesting. Monk, Holloway's got to be up there as the top points per minute scorers in UFC history.
He is up there for sure. In his career, he's 3.42 points per minute, 3.66 points per minute in his last 5. And at the weight class, his record is set, in 5-round featherweight fights. He's 7-3. Where are we at? 3.85 points per minute. So pretty consistent. On average, though, his DraftKings points per win in his 7 5-round featherweight fights, 132.5, like absolutely ridiculous. He's averaging 51 points in his 3 losses, all to someone named Alexander Volkanovski. Not sure if you ever heard of him, but he's pretty freaking good. Holloway landing 8.71 strikes per minute, 85.5% takedown defense. His ceiling is by 40 points higher than anyone else's on the entire card. And also his strength of schedule is 6 points better than the next highest, which is absolutely incredible. That's what happens when you fight one of the best fighters in the entire world 3 times in your last 5. All that said, Allen really does not score well. He only put up 81, almost 82 points in his only other 5-round featherweight fight. In his career, it's 79. In his last 5. And in his career, it's 72. And in his last 5, it's 79. 2 fights ago, he scored 110 against Hooker. So you can imagine how low the rest of his performances are, that his average is less than 80. That said, I'm probably rooting for Allen. I am going to be stacking this fight, I think. A little bit of a stack here. I think that's totally live. Holloway scores better than almost anyone, like I said. His average value per win is 19, almost 20 in his last 5 fights. He's a fantastic guy to play at 9K, and I think Arnold Allen is extremely undervalued here at 7,200. If he wins and wins inside the distance, even if he wins a 5-round decision, he could score crazy good. He's $1,200 less than his average salary. So I like both sides of this one. I'm picking Allen, but Holloway is no joke, and I don't mind the stack for, a little bit of a percentage in your lineup. So I love this fight, and I'm super excited for it, man. Give me the underdog. I can't believe we're getting Arnold Allen at 7,200. This is going to make us seem foolish for thinking he could have won, or it's going to make us seem foolish for thinking that we shouldn't roster him. But I love the play here.
Well, I think you guys are foolish. Max is going to fucking destroy this guy. I love Max here. Just the numbers. What does Allen do? The only path in my mind,
stops people from hitting him. He has some of the best defense on the entire card.
Yeah,
in the entire weight class, actually.
But this is Max Holloway, who can land, like, every strike he throws lands on your face.
But there's a thick ass instruction manual as to how to stop this guy now, and Volkanovski published it.
That's fair, but I'm going right back to no one else has figured it out. I'm going right back to Max. I love Max Holloway as a fighter. He's paid off for me so many times on DraftKings as well. I don't think Arnold Allen is better than Volkanovski, and Volkanovski almost lost. Those fights were super close. Those were like, they could have gone either way. Couple of fights. So they were close for me.
That last one was domination, right?
I think the second fight was kind of the closest of the trilogy, but
according to the stats, the second fight was the whitest.
Was it? I don't remember. I don't remember. These were close enough fights, and Max has never even really looked in trouble against anybody in the same weight class. Can Arnold change all of that? Sure. Max is minus 180. I think the bet of the card is, again, Holloway by decision. You can get it at plus 150. Holloway probably not get, if he wins, he's probably not winning inside the distance. His style just doesn't tend to finish anybody. But this is the dude that landed 440 significant strikes in a 5-round fight not that long ago. And another, where is it? Let me pull it up.
But he couldn't finish him, and it only took Allen basically 1 round.
And he's also been hit 785 significant strikes in his last 5 fights. Max.
Oh, yeah, he's taken a shot.
Been in the octagon like more than almost everybody, like minute wise. I feel like he's got things on his mind for the future, more so than a title.
Yeah, he's got a family now. Arnold Allen's hungry. You've seen him eating gas station food. That boy's hungry.
That's some psychological shit.
But he's still going to go out there and win 4 rounds, and the judges are going to rob him.
This is the same thing with Jorge last week. But the difference was Jorge said, I'm out after this fight. And we're like, oh, man, now we got to bring the psychology into it.
Jorge was selling a bunch of snake oil last week.
Yeah, I mean,
that dude was in no way prepared to fight.
No, because these fighters, when they're ready to retire, they like to do it after a fight in the ring. He had some shit he needed to say. He wanted to say it. I get it. Right?
Maybe that'll happen here. Maybe they're all in a room with all these WWE writers that they just hired, and they're like,
right.
all right, judges. I know this might not look like a win that's going to go to Allen, but let's start thinking of ways that we can start giving it to him. Let's start writing up a post-fight speech for Holloway here. He's going to retire, whether he comes back or not. Who knows what the future looks like.
I am not going to sit here and assume, because you know what happens when you assume. Make an ass out of you and me. That Max, who I have seen no evidence, none, that this guy is falling off. And that's really the thing. Let me see it with my eyes.
I thought his last fight. Like I don't think he looked. I mean, was it Volkanovski looking that much better?
Volk
or
is
was
good.
it Max looking worse? Because those first two fights were close, and he probably won the second fight, but he did not come close to winning that third fight.
He won that second fight, and
I don't know
Volk
what it is. Is
good.
that Volk being just the best in the world, or is he losing a little step? Who knows?
He outside of Volkanovski, he just destroyed Yair Rodriguez and Calvin Kattar. Like, he threw in takedowns against Yair. We're like, what? This guy knows.
Well, he was kind of losing on the feet. That's why he had to look for takedowns in that
but
one.
he had the takedowns. It's like we didn't even know.
Yeah,
He's been hiding it.
Not in this one, though, I don't think. I think this
No,
is
I don't
gonna be
think.
Allen on the ground.
No, why would you do that? Arnold Allen doesn't throw any volume. I don't see how, if he doesn't get knocked out, like, I could be wrong, but with no volume, Arnold Allen 3.5 strikes per minute landed against an 8 strike per minute guy.
That's like Marlon Vera versus Corey Sandhagen, and some judge gave 3 rounds to Marlon Vera.
He's not going to be an 8 strike guy in this fight. He's going to be
No,
more like a 5 or
down.
4 strike fight.
Yeah,
it'll go down a little bit, but he's still going to land his strikes. This is there's no evidence of Holloway just not landing a lot of strikes in any fight ever over 5 rounds. Actually, no, I'll give it the Jeremy Stevens fight for some reason. I don't know what happened in that one. But that's going back, like, so far. I don't even remember the fight. When was that? Oh, my, 2015, before DraftKings launched MMA.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if Max loses here, he has basically become a gatekeeper of the featherweight division. So for as long as Volkanovski has the title, if he wins here, what good does that even do him? He's lost to the champ 3 times. Like, what's he gonna do?
You're right. What's motivating this guy?
What's he fighting for?
He's waiting for Volk to retire so he can take it back.
That ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
I don't know. I don't know what he's waiting for, but you're right. It's fucked up because when you're the second best guy, or you're awesome, but the guy who's number 1 is like historically awesome.
Yep.
What do you do?
And if he loses to Allen here, this is going to be a tough look for him.
This is absolutely an all-in, Vince. I am having one of these guys in pretty much every lineup. I can't imagine.
Think it is.
No?
I don't think so. I think that Allen could go out there and win with 80, 85 points, and maybe that's not going to cut it.
Dude, Holloway's ownership is going to be astronomical.
Most of my lineups, for sure.
He's going to be
but
over
I will
50%
have lineups
owned.
without this fight, is what I'm saying.
Like, you got to be contrarian on Holloway. He's going to be over 50% owned.
You can go 100%.
Oh, no. Please don't go 100% on Max Holloway against Arnold Allen.
I'm just saying. 5 rounds of Max Holloway has led to more good things than not.
Not in his last.
My last 200% plays, I believe Carl Williams and Kamaru Usman, my last 200% plays. So I don't know that I'm going to be going 100% anytime.
Don't jinx it, man.
Yeah.
Marty,
I think Allen, you're going to be able to get a ton of leverage on. He's going to have like 15% ownership.
Usman, the dude is just injured. Watch Colby come in and take care of business against Leon Edwards. A healthy Colby versus
watch a young guy come in and just clear out these 35, 36-year-old welterweights. Get him the fuck out of there.
We'll see about that. All right, kill shot time. I'm riding.
I don't even know
a 4-1 kill shot streak that was only disrupted by Andrea KGB Lee not getting the decision against was it Macy Barber? Macy Barber always gets the decision in her favor. Judges love her. We're going to keep that going, though. But I'll start with you, Big Marley. Kill shot, underdog fighter that is going to win me my DraftKings lineup this week.
Well, I think I'm dead in the contest, so I don't really care about gaining any ground.
We extended the contest. You're not dead anymore. We extended it to because I was about to win it hands down. It was supposed to end.
I don't even know if I've got one right, though, is the issue. But I'll go with an actual kill shot, somebody that will not be owned, who I think can score more than other people do. Denise Gomes, TKO. For second round TKO, Denise Gomes.
All right, Denise Gomes. There it is. I like that. That is a legit kill shot. And she will kill you if you don't have her and she scores well. No one will have her in their lineups. So I like that one. That's a legit kill shot right there. Monk, kill shot.
It's between 2 guys for me, and honestly, I'm not most excited about either of them. But we're gonna go It's either double A at the top or it's Azamat Mirzakhanov. We're going to go Mirzakhanov over Jacoby. Hopefully he employs a wrestling game. If he does, I'll feel pretty good about it. If not, then, well, I guess there's always next week.
Because
he's going to get his head kicked off if that's the case.
Listen, I like it. There are so many kill shots here that are live. It's crazy. I mean, I could go through the list. There are too many viable. Piera, Lando. I would say Pedro Munoz and Tanner Bozer.
Was a dog.
So many ones that you guys haven't chosen yet that are legit here.
Oh yeah. Put yours in the comments below.
I mean, back against the wall, I'm going Lando Venata. But I like 3 of these. I reserve the right to make a change in DFS Army Discord, which, by the way, if you're not signed up for DFS Army, go get signed up there now. We're talking MMA. We're talking everything. We're crushing DFS, MLB, everything all the time. Get signed up. DFS Army VIP, link in the description. Make sure you like the video if you liked it. Share it. Tell your friends. Whatever you got to do. Help the Bill algo rhythm. No,
love it.
That one missed the mark. That one missed the mark. But if you like what we're doing, let us know in the comments section below. That's going to do it for this card, UFC Holloway versus Allen. Let's smash another. Let's have another great card. Let's hope for no all-in fighters getting canceled this time, because that kind of ruined last weekend.
Yeah,
amen.
A little bit. If you want to tail my bets, you got 3 by decision plays, all plus money bets. Venmo me if you win. Me on the Cash App. No, don't do that. Just enjoy your money. But keep in mind, not financial advice. All right, that's going to do it for this one. We will see you guys next time on another Kill Shot. Take care, everybody.